Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joint Land Use Board meeting for Wednesday, June 18th. Notice of this meeting has been posted and given to the official newspapers. Please familiarize yourself with the fire exits to the right and rear of the council chambers, and please do not proceed beyond the front benches without an invitation to do so. If we may stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ed Willerman,
Here.
Councilman Oliva, James Matro,
Here.
Ray Scipione,
Here.
Ralph Capaccio,
Here.
Michael Messina,
Here.
Michael Hozick,
Present.
Jonathan Bask, Chris Kalani, Philip Barbagallo,
Here.
Chairman Olivo.
Here. I need approval of the meeting minutes for June 4th, 2025. Could I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Mr. Scipione?
Second.
Mr. Matro? Any questions on that? Roll call, please.
Ed Willerman,
Yes.
James Matro,
Yes.
Ray Scipione,
Yes.
Ralph Capaccio,
Yes.
Michael Messina,
Yes.
Michael Hozick,
Yes.
Philip Barbagallo,
Yes.
Chairman Olivo.
Yes, motion carried. We have a resignation of Jerome Barbario for alternate 3. I guess it's due to his new part-time position with the town. We don't need to do anything with that, do we? Okay. We have one item on the agenda tonight. It's for
Mr. Chair,
yes. Okay.
unless there's going to be some item under your report that...
There
would-
is not tonight.
Okay, and I talked to the other professionals, and nobody has anything that they want to bring up for the good of the order. In that case, the item on the zoning board and the DNR on the resolution from the last meeting are both topics I cannot participate on because I represent the mayor in his absence, so I am going to excuse myself.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the item on the agenda we have tonight is for an applicant requests approval for change of use in an existing but vacant restaurant to an office space in the Hammonton Preservation Area Zone District. Could the applicant come forward and be sworn, please? Mr. Padavani? Thank you. Over to that side.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. Members of the board, good evening. Anthony Padavani on behalf of Timothy Vitt. Mr. Vitt is away, so we are here on his behalf. Mickey Callahan is here, and I am here. I've represented Mr. Vitt for many years. Guys, do you all remember Angie's, I think it was Angie's Cafe, Country Cafe?
Yep.
You remember that? Cute little quaint little place on the PA zone because it was in, of course, on Route 206. So that place housed about 3 to 5 employees. It was a cute breakfast place. It was a lunch place, but it really didn't have dinner. They had, according to Ms. Dankel, who ran the place in her affidavit to the Pinelands, they had about 90 to 140 patrons every day. They had different seatings per day, and like I said, they had about 3 to 5 employees working there. And we broke it down. 1 was in the office, 2 were in the dining room, and 2 were in the kitchen. So what we're doing here is we have a pool company who wants to come in, and this particular application has 2 lots, Lot 9 and Lot 10. One of the lots is Angie's, as you saw, and 10 was in a single-family existing dwelling. What we want to do is we want to put 2 employees in the service department of this pool service business and 3 employees in the house during the renovation department. All we're asking here is, as you said, Chairman, is to change the existing use from this now vacant restaurant, unfortunately, although it existed for many years, to a full service business. In order to make that existing use change, all we really have to do is two things. One is, besides, of course, all the positive and negative criteria, which Mr. Agresta is going to get to when we give testimony from the PE, but we are going to put an aluminum fence around so that, as you could see from the plans, and then we're going to add an ADA compliant handicap parking stall. It wasn't there, not sure why it wasn't there. So that's really all we're looking for. But in order to do that, we did have to go to the Pinelands. At one point in time, I was going back and forth with the Pinelands because there is a particular section in section, and I'll read it to you, a particular section in section 750 that specifically says, 41822, that specifically says if you have a home office business, and it does say pool as one of the criteria, you don't have to do a minor site plan. However, the Pinelands didn't agree, so we kind of abandoned that and we went right into the Pinelands application. We got the certificate of filing. Mr. Agresta is here to testify with respect to the land. Ms. Callahan's here. She's going to testify about the business and what the business is going to do. And that's where we are with this application.
Okay, you have the witnesses stand up and raise their right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you have to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I'm going to start with Sam. Is that okay, Sam?
Absolutely.
Do you want to come closer? Are you good there?
I have a couple exhibits. Do we use this?
Yeah, if you could do that, please.
Oh, perfect.
And then come up closer to the microphone.
Absolutely, no problem. Do we orient this? I just
You could go back near, yeah, exactly.
more in that fashion so everybody can see. Very good. I have not appeared in front of this board, at least not in recent memory. Would you like me to state my qualifications?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's do that, Sam. Let's tell them who you are, tell them your qualifications with
Happy to
respect
do
to your
so.
testimony.
My name's Sam Agresta. I'm the principal engineer and planner of AEP, Agresta Engineering and Planning. I'm a licensed professional engineer as well as licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I have a bachelor's degree of architectural engineering and construction management from Drexel University. And I've provided expert testimony in front of numerous boards throughout the state and been qualified as a professional numerous times.
Is accepted.
Any objection to Mr. Agresta testifying with respect to the area?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Okay. Sam, go right ahead. Go right into, if you can, into the site more than anything.
Absolutely, happy to do so. The applicant had prepared two exhibits that I'd like to log in before I start. The first one we'll call Exhibit A1, we'll call it an aerial rendering, and then Exhibit A2, we'll call it an ISO view rendering. We'll start off with Exhibit A1 to describe the existing conditions, which are very, very similar to the proposed conditions. So the site in itself goes way far back this way. In total, it's about 7.23 acres. The address is 750 Route 206. It's identified as Block 5907, lots 9 and 10. Out of the 7.2 acres, 5.5 acres of it will never be developed. In the Pinelands area, there's very strict regulations. There's wetlands presence on site. So the portion of the site that is already developed is roughly around 1.8 acres, which you're looking at. So roughly 3/4 of this site will never be developed in any way. The two main structures that were referred to, this is the building that was previously a restaurant. I believe the footprint is around 1,500 square feet. And then your single-family dwelling, both single-story buildings, right around the same square footage. I think it's around 1,300 square foot footprint.
We are, as stated, in the PA Preservation Area Zone. Some of the site improvements, very, very simple site improvements, utilizing basically the existing infrastructure or improvements that are there, delineating parking stalls along the front of each of the structures. This is the one ADA compliant stall that will be installed. It'll be striped. It meets all the ADA requirements for cross slopes, etc. The fencing that was referred to, I believe the fence will go right across the front of the property here, just to kind of enclose it, make it anything going on in the back less viewable from the street side, and it serves a security purpose as well. As for the drainage of the site, we can describe the wetlands area back here. By and large, the front part of the site slopes gently toward Route 206. And then there's a low point right over here on the, I believe it's lot 9, I think the adjacent lot is lot 11, that the water drains that way. Anything we're doing on the site will not disturb those patterns. We're not proposing any new impervious areas or anything in that regards. As for the site improvements, that's really all that we're doing. There is existing lighting on the site. I spoke with your engineer. Apparently they're going to want to see some analysis, some kind of ISO photometric analysis to make sure that the areas are properly lit, which we're happy to provide. As for the site improvement portion and existing conditions, that concludes the testimony for that. If you'd like, I would like to roll right into the use variance.
Sure, go right ahead.
So as stated, we are in the PA zone. We are proposing a commercial use, which is not permitted in the PA zone. So when requesting use variances, we're obligated to provide both the positive and negative criteria, as we're all sure well aware of. Under 4055B-2 of the municipal land use law and outlined in your planner's review letter, it outlines maybe 23 or so points, special reasons. I just want to highlight maybe 4 or 5 that I feel that pertain to this application. The first one under that section of the code is item C. It's can this use variance be granted and the site still provide adequate open space, air, light, etc. So as previously stated, nearly 3/4 of this site will never be developed. So that alone provides plenty of air, open space, etc. We can see there's plenty of parking for it, for the proposed use, so there is certainly plenty of area, open area on the space that will by and large remain. Item number D under that section of the code states that our proposed use will not conflict with neighboring or individuals, neighboring municipalities, and develop or impact the general welfare of the neighboring municipalities or communities. So as stated, we have a large buffering area to the back, well treed. There is, I believe it's 2 homes off to the side here, 2 residential units off to the side, off to this side. And then I do not believe there's any development on the other side. So we are, by and large, a standalone property, kind of just resting out there on Route 206 with the exclusion of these 2 properties that sit off to the side here. Item number G states that we could request a use variance for the municipality to provide a variety of uses, one of those uses being commercial. We are located on Route 206, which is a main artery through the area. Typically main roads, different things like that, county routes, state routes do support commercial uses very well, access, etc., different things like that. Item number H under that portion of the code touches upon the design of transportation routes. As stated, we sit on Route 206. We have very, very easy access to Route 30, Route 70 in the other direction, the Atlantic City Expressway. All of these major arteries are within more or less a stone's throw of the location. We're dealing with an entity that services, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's Atlantic, portions of Camden County, possibly Cumberland County and Burlington County. So those routes give us access to all those neighboring communities.
That's correct.
Very good. And then the final one under the positive criteria touches upon the financial aspect, lessening the cost of construction. You heard previous testimony that I provided stating the limited proposed improvements for the site. So right there, that is, it's in essence, this is a plug-and-play site for our applicant. They're really able to utilize it much as it stands today. So therefore, there will be very minimal disturbance to the area. No kind of excavating, heavy machinery, anything like that. It is just a plug-and-play site for our client. Finally, the negative criteria is the two-pronged approach. The first states that the use will not cause substantial harm to the public good. You heard previous testimony about the previous use of a restaurant. So something like 90 to 140 patrons a day. We are looking at a site that will house 4 employees. I'm sorry, how many?
5.
5 employees, I'm sorry, 5 employees. You may have some work vehicles coming in, loading up. Those are typically scheduled times. It would be a morning in, afternoon out type flow, where a restaurant would be constant turnover throughout the day. You'd have that breakfast, lunch, and dinner type crowd. And then the final prong of the negative criteria is that the use will not impair the purpose or intent of the zoning ordinance. So there was testimony supported by the previous use, the lesser intense use that we're proposing, and then we have the existing dwelling that was there, which would have similar but opposite ins and outs that a business would have. So typically with the dwelling, you would leave in the morning, work your day, come back in the afternoon. This would be the exact opposite. The people would be coming in the morning and then leaving in the afternoon. So another thing with this use variance is it gives us the opportunity. We have 2 principal dwellings on a lot, which is not typical. If this was constructed today, it just wouldn't be built like this. So this really gives us the opportunity to unify these 2 independent structures.
2 principal dwellings?
2 principal structures. I apologize, thank you, Stuart. 2 principal structures, and it gives us a chance to unify them under one use instead of having 2 independent uses. So I feel that that would help it align or give it a little bit more leverage to be consistent throughout the site for the proposed use. That concludes the planning testimony as well as the engineering testimony. Anthony, if you had anything else you wanted me to touch on or elaborate, I'd be happy to do so.
I have nothing. I think you hit most of the stuff. I think that it advances the municipal land use law.
Yes.
So I think that it's minimum with respect to, Mickey, I do want you to testify. Tell me what you're doing with the signage.
Okay, so there's existing signage on the property. We're just going to remove what's there and put our signs in. There's existing lighting to the sign already, electricity. So we're basically going to swap out what's there and just put in our stuff. We're not going to recreate the whole, thing.
So you're just changing the sign face?
Yes, we're changing the sign faces, yes.
And with respect to the fencing,
Okay.
is what Sam testified
Yes.
to?
Yes.
Come on
fencing?
to the other side of that.
Oh, thank you.
So it's going to be an aluminum
Yeah.
fencing, right?
So yeah, that's going to go across here.
And we submitted affidavits and invoices to the Pinelands showing approximately 11,000, 10,000 for the fence?
Yes.
And 1,000 for
The signage.
changing the signage, but not the dimensions?
Nope,
Or
just the
anything but the
face.
faces
Just the
of the
face.
signs? Both sides, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How many employees? Let's go over so the board understands.
2 employees in the restaurant, which is here, and 3 employees in this office over here. So this is going to be our service division, and this is going to be our renovation division. We work off of a software called House Call Pro, which our techs, basically, we load up their jobs the night before. They go to will call, say, out in Delran or at SCP in Blackwood. They pick up their product, they go to their jobs. It's kind of like married in with QuickBooks, so you really don't have to store anything on the property. That's, maybe some winter covers for pools. But they're basically dispatched. They take their vehicles home with them.
I was going to ask about that. So
Yeah.
are they going to park their vehicles there?
There might be a couple parked vehicles there, but not, basically, they get a truck for the season.
So tell me about the business itself. What is your business? I
Okay,
don't
so
think
it's
that we've heard what that
absolute
actually
pool
is.
care.
I'm sorry?
It's absolute pool care. We service residential and commercial pools. We're also having a lifeguard division developed. There's a shortage, so we train them, we certify them. We're employing 14-year-olds as gate guards because by the state they're allowed to be, and then when they turn 15, we can certify them into lifeguards. So it's kind of been good for our teenagers. And, we're hoping to get a lot of the teenagers in town.
Mickey, I think
So
when the chairman wants
there's
to,
no retail part there?
No,
So nobody's going to come there with a pool
No.
sample or
No.
anything like that?
no.
But you will service pools, weekly pool
Yes.
maintenance?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
We service several in town now.
Excuse me. So you're dispatching the service vans just from that location to Delran where everything is that they load up on?
Yes, they load up their
So
product
it's
there.
just an office?
It's like a will call, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it's just an off, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
We just manage the paperwork,
Yep.
manage the software.
thank you.
tell the board just a little more with respect to the Chairman Olivo's inquiry. What do you do specifically? You do service
Yes.
Like residential pools?
Residential and commercial.
and commercial?
Yeah.
You're not open year-round then, right?
No, we're only open
Explain
from,
that.
say, February 1st to November 30th at the latest. And then our season shuts down. Our weekly clients maybe take like an 18-week package, and then we go out and service them.
So you don't sell pools or install
No,
pools?
no. We can build pools if we wanted to, but we would still pick the product up from Delran or SCP in Blackwood, or I'd have it delivered right to the residents.
So you don't store like any kind of like pools in the backyard there or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Chlorine? Nothing, like chlorine or anything?
No, nope. That's all on our vehicles. The weekly people have their own pickup trucks with their, set amount of chlorine that they're supposed to pick up each week for each pool. If they need more, they go to will call.
For the most part, this is an office.
Yes, for the most part it is. We manage the employees, we manage the software, and our residential clients and our commercial pools.
On the site plan, it showed 13 parking spaces and the ADA compliant parking
Future
spaces.
growth,
Okay.
future employees.
You would have 5, maybe 6 or 7.
Yes.
Depending on what 2 trucks
Yeah.
are going to be there.
Exactly.
Anything else you'd like to tell the board with respect to this application, Nikki?
It's been a long year. Shelley can, I've been in and out of her office, but we'd like the chance to open up and service the community. Obviously, all the counties that we're involved with.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a current location?
Yes, we do. 459 Oakshade Road, Chemung, New Jersey. So
Yeah,
we're
they're in
looking.
Burlington County now, I should have said.
Yeah,
Oak Shade Road where?
459 Oakshade Road in Chemung, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, the name of the company is Absolute Pool Company. They're in Burlington, mainly Camden, as Sam testified. They're trying to get into the Atlantic, and this is one of the reasons why they're putting their office here in Hammonton. Any questions, guys?
Board members?
I have some questions for
Sure.
the planner.
Yes, Sam?
Sure, please. Because I'm having trouble reconciling the plan we've got with that.
Sure.
My first question is, there are 3 white boxes on the right side of that one. What are those 3 white boxes?
I just think that was showing the other dwellings, the properties that are near our property.
Oh,
I
that's
think-
not on your...
No, that's not there. They're actually, that's a house and a shed
Over here.
over there.
These two
That's,
as well.
yeah, we just put it in there so you would see that,
Okay,
there is
so
other
where is the
residents.
property, then where is the property line?
Property line appears to be right along the edge of this driveway. So this is a rendering, and renderings aren't necessarily 100% true. They're more of a representation of what's happening on the plan. So if you look on the plan, you'll see I believe it's identified as, I just drove through here earlier today. Gravel, where the heck is that?
Gravel area.
drive, all the way on the right side, all the way on the, you're looking at in this orientation on the right-hand side. So I believe this would represent the gravel drive. And then the property line would be about here. Again, this is a rendering, this is not a 100% true representation.
Dr. Hosek, if you look at the middle building that's not part of the site, the property line appears to run right on the northerly building line of that building.
Okay, well, yeah, I can see where on this plan, I see where the property line is. I don't see the proposed gravel driveway on this plan at all.
The gravel driveway is existing.
It's there.
It's
already.
existing,
Yeah,
it's already
it's
there.
existing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't hear, you didn't propose a gravel.
We did
No,
not
no,
propose
no,
any
no.
driveway improvements, that is correct.
We're
sir.
not doing any, we're just putting the fence, the fence along that gravel.
Yeah, but where is that gravel thing?
I believe it's identified as gravel dirt area.
It says gravel, it's right there.
Gravel drive.
Yeah, it says gravel drive.
Gravel area?
No,
Oh, the
All the
gravel
way
driveway.
to the,
gravel drive.
all the way along the southern property line, it says gravel drive, it's just a few feet off the property line.
Aha, found it. Okay. Now, on this plan, there is a one-story frame dwelling, so labeled.
Which one is that, the restaurant or the?
That's the house.
That's the house.
You're looking at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're a different
yeah.
orientation than me, okay,
Yeah.
that would be the house.
Yeah, you have this one.
And there is a second building labeled one-story frame dwelling.
Right.
It's marked item number 3.
Yeah, one says one-story frame restaurant, one-story frame dwelling.
And then there's what Doc Kozick said, one-story frame garage, actually. I guess that's what it says.
Correct.
Correct.
And that is identified as item 3.
Yes,
Is that what you're looking at?
that's it, that's to the southern
Number 3.
portion.
What's the 3 on it?
What's going on?
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I think there's a mislabeling there. I think on the plan that we have, the restaurant actually says dwelling.
Oh,
okay.
does it?
Stuart, the one I'm
Can
looking
you-
at says restaurant.
Yeah, ours says restaurant, that might be.
Might take a look at your.
Please.
I have 10 minutes.
I'm not sure his name says dwelling. That does, that is misidentified.
Yeah, that's misidentified, that's why. Ours says
Oh, here,
restaurant.
there's one.
Okay, so you'll submit, as part of resolution compliance, a most up-to-date set of plans?
I thought we
We
did.
do, we have them submitted already. The last
I
date,
have plans here, yeah.
What restaurant on here?
We each got three.
Okay.
Yeah, I did this one.
I think we kept updating it because of the time period.
What's
1/30/25 is what I submitted, and that's the board member.
10/19, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, because we
okay.
are having.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I turned in 19 copies. 1/30/25.
Yeah, you gotta look at that one, that's the latest.
So you're not doing anything with the ground itself, with the surface itself, with the parking itself?
That is correct. The only thing that we would be doing on the ground would be striping.
Right.
Just delineating the
To
stalls.
the
keeping it-
existing ground that's there?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Surprisingly, from what I understand, the slopes were ATA compliant, which is very, very rare for anything that was built, this long ago.
I mean, it looks more like a office than a restaurant, I'll tell you that.
Kind of that one-story type
Yeah.
building, yeah. Agreed.
I looked it up yet.
Are you gonna, for the gravel driveway, you put in a gate or anything, or it's just open?
I believe
That's
that there's
just
a.
open,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I ask for clarification, what's the date on the most recent plan?
1/30/25.
Where is that gate?
On the right-hand side. Yeah.
Was there a lot of cars making U-turns in that lot, maybe while you're going across also?
I'm sorry, you're talking in here?
Yeah,
Like
School
just
buses.
people.
okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's a nice piece to just
We
go
don't-
in and do whatever.
The state's parked there right now because they're milling 206, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Actually, I have seen buses turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the state right now has their trucks back there because we allowed them. They asked us because, as you know, they're milling off 206, so they needed trucks to be parked back there. And we said, fine.
I made a U-turn to get back.
Yeah, right.
I completely did, guilty as charged.
So the activity in the back that's blocked off by large tree stumps,
Wait, what's there? What
the activity in the rear of so there's the horizontal stripe
Oh, okay.
behind the restaurant, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of activity there. The area is blocked off with tree stumps, keeping people out except for an area where there's access, and there are numerous vehicles routinely there. I go up 206, I don't want to say specifically on a weekly basis, but sometimes several types a week, and for an extended period of time, there's been all this activity there. That's not your activity?
Yes, it is our activity. We are leasing the property. We have been for over a year now, so we have been utilizing the back of the property.
So how does that correspond with what you said, where it's going to be just pickup, or it's going to be will call, and the only parking is going to be along the front?
Well, our employees come into work, and sometimes we have meetings back there. There's, if they come in, it is basically meeting with them every morning and making sure they have their runs right on their phones. And if we have to, you know, like I said, we will be storing winter covers there. Minor product, there's plenty of storage containers already sitting there. If we do need to bring in, I mean, we're looking at the future. You know, we're looking to grow bigger in the future.
Well, I get that, but we're
Yeah.
looking at an application before us today.
Right.
And the activity that I see back there is more than just early morning job meetings. There's a lot of vehicles parked there. There's different numbers of vehicles depending on the times I drive by. I think the board's entitled to know what is going on back there and whether there needs to be improvements to that rear area if it's going to be a staging area or a parking lot.
It is
That's why I asked the question, what was going on in the back.
Yeah,
Because-
it is somewhat of a staging area for us.
But your staging area, just to elaborate on what Mr. Weiser said, it's a staging area where people are coming and going. There was bigger vehicles back there, and I thought like there was
We had a lot of
construction
our
and stuff.
Absolute trucks there. I mean, obviously, we're waiting to get approval so we can change our, you know, our address on things, our phone numbers on stuff. We have a lot that we have to do that we can't move forward until we get past this meeting and the resolution.
Something you said, that you said you were leasing the property.
Yes.
Who are you leasing it to?
We are leasing it from Mrs. Benkel.
From the current?
You're leasing.
Yes, the current owner.
yeah. The one who had the restaurant.
Yeah.
But what, you're talking about the future and changing phone numbers and everything. What is proposed for that rear parking area? What are you going to use that for?
We're going to use it for mulch and stone for our landscape projects. So if I build a pool, I need mulch or topsoil to finish the job off. So we store some of that there. Our crews come in and pick it up. Other than that, the residential customers that we service is like working on pumps, working on fillers. But if we build a pool, I need to have mulch, I need to have stone.
So this isn't just an office?
It's an office, but they just come in, they pick up their stuff and they leave. They're not at the site during the day. They're there at 7:30 in the morning and then they leave.
Excavators and backhoes?
No, we don't have any of that, no. No, we would hire subcontractors.
But you're doing outside storage of mulch and construction-related
No.
materials?
It's just mulch and stone. If you would like to drop by, you're more than welcome.
I drive by all the time.
Well, I'd like, the stumps are there just for security reasons until we're allowed to have the fence put in.
Okay, and so how many vehicles are going to be in the back working out of that area?
I would say when they come in the morning, there's probably 20 vehicles, and then they leave, and then when they take their trucks to their house and their trailers to their house. If they have to leave something at the property, they call us and let us know, but it's not, all of our employees take their vehicles. As you see, some of them aren't there at night.
But there's some significant construction trucks there.
We have box vans, we don't have backhoes, excavators, we don't have any of that stuff.
Okay. I
It's
think,
more pickup trucks and box vans.
and they're parked overnight?
Yes, some of them are, and then some of the employees take them home. It depends on what they need for the job, how big of a vehicle they need for the job.
And what is the maximum number of those vehicles that are going to be there overnight as opposed to just folks coming in?
I would say 7.
Can we get that delineated as to where they're going to be
Sure.
parked?
Sure, I would, definitely.
You want to show them?
I mean, like, engineer delineated
Yeah.
as part of resolution
You would
compliance.
need a revised plan,
Yeah.
minor site plan, sure. Oh, thank you.
Did you ever at one point in time like have like a pools, pools back there stored?
Never,
Never?
never.
Okay.
It's not like, say, Niagara Pools where they had a showroom. We're not like
Well, I'm
that.
not looking at that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, where you see that,
The
the
one-
pool that they just kind of plop in the ground. It
The
looks like a
one
big
piece.
bathtub.
No, no. That's a fiberglass pool, no.
I'm bothered by, you talked about the storage trailers were already there.
Yes.
And they do show on this plan. They do not show on that rendering at all. At least I don't think they do.
There's one there, but it does not show any activity.
There's the storage container.
Oh, the storage container is actually
Containers are there and there.
right there and there.
And here.
And then they coincide with this, which was logged in as Exhibit A2 previously. It's the ISO view there and there.
Has the Pinelands seen something that reflects that, and do the Pinelands know that you're going to be staging out of the back?
The Pinelands have these set of pictures, yes.
Yeah, they have everything you have.
We've complied with everything that they've requested.
Stuart, you want to elaborate on your report first, or
Yeah.
you still have more questions?
Can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Is it mulch and stone? I may be wrong, I just, like you're allowed to store mulch and stone as opposed to other, that maybe doesn't count as construction items, or, I don't know.
Right.
Am I right? Stone and mulch? I don't know.
Go ahead, Stuart.
It's the first I'm hearing about it, so we haven't researched it.
Right.
You have our report?
I do, yes.
Okay,
May
can we
28th.
walk through that
Sure, happy to do so.
item by item?
Yep.
So our report, Mr. Chairman, is dated May 28th, 2025, and as we do, I'll go through the planning and the administrative issues. James will go through the engineering. On page 2, down at the bottom, checklist number 8, checklist number 3, county application forms. Do we know whether the county has seen this application and whether they have any role to play in the approval process?
You would have wanted like a single waiver.
A request confirmation for exemption?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, we would like to request confirmation for exemption. If I have to send a letter to the county and have them out there, I will.
I think we typically ask for the county to send in some kind of a letter of no interest, or
Okay,
alternatively, what their interest might be.
right.
On number 8, which is footnote 4, is there certification of a corporation or partnership as required to be put on file? Are you a corporation or a partnership?
We're an
or-
LLC.
We're not, it's a partnership.
Okay, so we're going to need that.
Okay.
Next page, item 5, footnote number 5, which corresponds to item 12. We didn't ask for a circulation plan, but can you provide testimony regarding any impact to change in traffic? And you already talked about parking out front, and we'll wait and see what happens with this parking and staging in the back, but any impact, traffic impact?
Traffic impact, we are in fact a lesser intense use than what was previously there. So that being the restaurant, I don't foresee any significant impacts to traffic. We have a handful of employees coming in the morning with the number of trucks that Ms. Callahan had stated, so I don't foresee any negative impacts to traffic.
Okay. We're moving on. We're on page 4. This gets to the use section. When we spoke, Sam, when we spoke on the phone, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, we talked about trying to find a date when those buildings were there.
I forgot to mention that. I actually have a note on my presentation. So I did do a little bit of background research. I pulled up some property information. From everything I found, it appears that they were constructed somewhere around 1936. We reviewed some historic aerials, different things like that. So there are large gaps in the dates, but from my research, it was somewhere between 36 and 40.
Okay, I think that would qualify them as a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So that, I think they're entitled to a certificate of non-conformity based on those structures, but they still need the D1 for the change of use. Then moving on to the bulk standards. Do we have any idea how tall the buildings are?
It's less than 35 feet.
Absolutely. They're all single-story dwellings, so I don't foresee them even being close to the 35-foot standard.
Okay, and to the extent that whatever they are, they would be a pre-existing non-conformity. If they are not conforming, we talked about you as for resolution compliance doing lighting for both outside and then for the rear.
Correct.
Moving on to the next page, so the, James, I'm going to leave those for you. Accessory buildings. We have a framed garage and a wood shed. Maximum building height, we haven't been provided with that information. It's 20 feet is the maximum. Do you have any idea how tall they are?
Oh, geez, Stuart, off the top of my head, I do not know. They all appear to be, from my drive-through this afternoon, just your standard garage bay door. I cannot testify with accurately of the height. I apologize.
Would we consider those to be a pre-existing nonconformity?
Absolutely. I can certainly do a little background research and confirm. They all appear to be older buildings, but again, I cannot testify to an exact date. I'd be happy to research it though and confirm with you on it.
Maybe the easiest way to deal with that is to grant a C variance to the extent necessary, so they don't have to come back if it's 1 foot over, if it's 21 feet for just simple structures like this.
Fair enough.
I think from what we heard, whatever the lot, do we have a figure for the lot coverage in terms of, you're over the lot coverage. The max, I think the maximum would be 1,500 square feet, and you're at 1,800 square feet. From your research, does that appear to be a pre-existing nonconformity as well?
Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
it has.
So confirming you're going to maintain the same sign, you're only going to swap out the sign face?
Yes.
No change in lighting, no change in square footage, no change in
Nope.
height?
No.
Okay. On page 6, there are, under our ordinance, there are buffer requirements where the property abuts a residential use. You're putting a fence in, but there's no buffer.
6, 7, and 8.
Unless you can provide a buffer. Do you remember what the buffer is?
6, 7, and 8. They're touching their spot.
I think the buffer is 50 feet. We can confirm that. I thought we had it in here. If you can't provide that buffer, then a C variance for that buffer would be required.
For the front yard?
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, we
Where
have-
6, 7, and 8 is.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we have pre-existing parking there, so it would be nearly impossible to comply.
Well, I think it's the side yard.
Oh, I apologize. It's side yard,
It's right there.
right here, along this edge here. Yeah, I mean, we have pre-existing structures there, as well as a driveway, so yes, we would request relief for that as well.
Okay, so that would be a C variance.
Correct, pre-existing.
That is all I have on the planning side. James, do you want to take the engineering?
Yeah. Mr. Aggressive, I just have a question about the fencing here. Will there be a gate to access this side of the property?
This side meaning
The northern side,
No, I
yes.
believe,
It's gonna be a slide.
Mickey, that's a solid fence across.
So
the
that's a
front,
solid.
Right here?
correct? Yes, across the
The
front.
gate's gonna slide.
Oh, it's a
It's
slide.
sliding.
It's gonna slide, yeah.
Okay. So right now, I'm assuming vehicles are accessing the southern gravel driveway right now? That's what they're doing?
It's a double gate.
Yeah, it's a double gate.
That is, Mickey would have to testify to that. I'm not sure of their
Excuse
daily
me, what was the question,
operations.
James?
Sure. So for right now, because we still don't have the fence yet, I'm assuming trucks and your stuff in the back, they would access it using the existing gravel driveway towards the south side?
This one here, are they coming in that way?
We're coming in this way.
Okay.
Coming in on the north
We're,
side?
we're coming in on the north side.
Where the gates?
Where the gate's gonna be, there's gonna be a
Okay.
double gate.
So future access will be
Yes.
on the northern side?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Agresta, could you testify with regards to your discussions with our applications made to NJDOT?
I'm sorry?
With NJDOT, because you're fronting Route 206.
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, there was no application submitted to the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Typically, for an application like this, we would submit what's called a LANI, or a letter of no interest, being that we're not really changing anything. So I have made the applicant aware that that may be a condition of approval, and we will
And
move
we-
forward if necessary to obtain it.
Okay. And you said you were going to provide lighting, a study for that, okay.
Yes, sir.
Could you discuss any existing site drainage and any issues for?
Sure, so I did briefly describe the drainage. It is all pre-existing. By and large, the front portion of the lot drains toward Route 206. And then the northern portion, there's a low point on the adjacent lot 11 that water drains toward that area. And then obviously we have the wetlands area to the back, which itself is just a big, huge drainage area. So just visited the site after a rainstorm. I didn't see any issues with any drainage. I'm not aware of any drainage. Mickey, are you
No,
aware of any
I haven't
drainage
seen
issues on
anything.
the site?
Okay.
And it won't be impacted by any of our proposed quote-unquote improvements that we're doing on the site, being the minimal nature of what we're proposing.
Okay. And could you talk about your proposed recycling collection, trash collection, any loading, deliveries? I know we kind of touched on the loading and deliveries earlier, but could you possibly talk about that?
We will have a recycle container on site
Okay.
and a trash container on site. As I understand, there's no, pickup. Once you're a company, you have to have, you have to have the recycling and the trash pickup.
So private hauler would
Yes,
provide trash.
like waste management or,
And last on my list here, have you gotten in touch with the Environmental Commission with regards to,
I was unable to reach contact with the Environmental Commission. It's my understanding that a letter was issued possibly from them. I don't know if that's standard protocol in the municipality or not, but anything, if a letter was issued, we are certainly happy to address it and work with them to comply with any of their regulations or requests.
I don't, well, the Environmental Commission hasn't seen anything about this. I don't understand why we weren't contacted. That's kind of weird.
I know typical
The
protocol.
normal protocol here is that the applicant appears before the Environmental Commission and presents their plans, and then we write a letter. So I don't know what broke down this time, but that didn't happen.
I know.
okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
You would know,
Yes.
yes.
I guess it's an alternate to that, you agree to make a presentation to the environmental commission and abide by.
Sure. Anything that they need us to do.
If they will make a presentation to the environmental commission, yes.
Okay, that we can.
And they will agree to abide by whatever
Within
our
reason.
decision. Well, within reason.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll put
Yes.
that in the resolution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for the professionals? Okay, you got questions?
Well, no. So you're gonna have one gate for the yard, or the two gates, one on either side?
One gate. It's gonna be a double gate.
And then the gravel driveway,
It's just gonna stay a gravel driveway. There's nothing,
but there's access,
Gravel driveways. on
just
the other
open.
side.
Okay, I understand.
Just
That's to prevent people obviously stealing mulch or stone, backing in with a truck, right?
no.
Oh, no?
No,
Okay.
we don't want anybody stealing anything. That's why we're putting the fence.
That's what I said. That's what
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
What is that home plate looking on the southern gravel drive, the gray
Right there, yeah.
trapezoidal thing with the,
On
no,
the drive.
yeah, there we go.
That's an old garage.
That's what it is.
Is that remaining?
Yes.
And that's going to be used for storage?
No, we're not using it. It's just remaining on the property.
Okay. So that gravel drive does not provide circulation
No.
around the back of the property?
No.
That's what I thought.
No, it's just, it goes right up to the garage.
And what about those other colored rectangles on either side of that?
They're like storage sheds, water sheds.
Are they remaining?
Yes.
Is anything coming down?
No, we're not taking anything down. What's existing is existing. Unless Mrs. Denkel would like us to take something down, obviously we would apply for the correct permits.
Well, you're buying it from her, right?
No, we're not
You're
buying
leasing it,
We're
okay,
leasing,
okay.
yeah, so it would be her call to.
And then the larger area in the back with the, looks like crates, trucking crates, those kind of things.
Yeah, they're high containers, and then there's a concrete pad right there.
And they're there now?
Yes, existing.
And they're going to remain?
Yes.
Is there anything else that's going to be added?
No. No.
So, and continuing with the back part, you know, when I took a picture not that long ago, I mean, I see a pile of dirt, I see a pile of stone, I see some what looks like, I don't want to call them abandoned trailers, but, so, I guess I want a little more clarification as to what is actually going to happen back there.
Staging, like if I have to pull a trailer in with a pickup truck, and if I have to load the mulch onto the trailer or stone onto the trailer, that's the staging.
Okay.
On your revised plan, can you show us is the mulch and stone going to be in some kind of pen or enclosure?
If the building department requires that, that's what we'll do.
Or if this board requires it?
Yeah, I don't know who, you know.
Can you, on the revised plan,
Show the storage? Yeah.
show where it's going to be?
Yes.
And then, you know, I don't know how this board feels about some type of improvement as an enclosure, or at least something to hold the material in place. That would be up to you, but whatever the board decides to be shown on the revised plan.
Okay.
And really, nobody's going to have access to that back area?
No.
Nobody will get there once the
No.
fence gets put up.
Okay.
And so I come in with my pickup truck, I work for you, I come in with my pickup truck, right? And somebody loads up, how does that happen? Is it guys with shovels? Or
Yes.
is there?
Yes.
So there's no loader?
No, but down the line, we'd like to buy a loader to make it a little more simpler. But right now, they're all, if you see them in the morning, they're doing it by hand.
So you're saying somebody's going to, with shovels, pick up stone and put it onto the back?
Yeah,
of the truck?
they do. It depends on how much they need for the job, you know. if I need, stone when I'm building an in-ground pool, I have it delivered to the job.
Okay,
So this is basically cleaning up the residence after the builds or,
all right. That's a better understanding.
Yeah,
Can I ask a clarification?
certainly.
How much of your business is full installation and how much is full service?
Ooh, 10% installation on in-ground. We're not that big on that. We do about maybe 10 builds a year. The rest of it's all service.
And do you have various contractors, or you just have certain people working for you?
We have subcontractors, yeah,
Okay.
like an electrician, a plumber, a gas company.
But then you have a regular crew that's maintaining somebody's pool weekly?
Yes.
I know you answered this question, but in one ear and out the other with all of what's going on. How many vehicles are going to be on site overnight?
Overnight, there's going to be about 7 vehicles on site overnight in the back. And I'll show you where we're going to either park them out front or out back. But once we leave for the day, they can use the parking spots out front and just leave whatever vehicle they want there.
Okay. And in terms of future growth, I'm trying to lock you in here.
Okay.
In terms of future growth, what do you see? What's the maximum so you don't have to come back here again?
I think I have 13 parking spots in there. 13.
That's out front.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for your growth in the back. Because what I'd like to see is delineated parking spaces, understanding they may not use them.
Right.
But I'd like to see delineated parking areas, delineated storage areas, so we have a maximum of the intensity of the use in the back.
Okay. I will, we could put that on the revised plan, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You get that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah.
If, assuming the board
That's
agrees.
fine, I agree.
Yeah.
No, I feel that's a completely reasonable request, absolutely.
Should be.
Yeah.
And support it.
Anything?
I have a question. I'm not familiar with this place, but can you tell me what kind of surface you've got in the front and back parking areas?
What kind of, I'm sorry?
What kind of surface do you have for the front and the back parking areas? Is it
It's asphalt.
So the parking areas are asphalt. The back area is largely gravel. There is patches of dirt and soil around, but it's largely a gravel area. And then even the driveways are gravel. Any fill-in areas would be grass. This looks more like sand to me, but by and large, it's a gravel surface.
On the revised plan, will you show size and location of your trash receptacle?
Of our what?
Trash receptacle?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to add something. On page 5 of our report, there's a line item for surfacing and curbing for proposed parking spots. If we want to delineate towards the rear of the property, then I believe that would be C variance if they want to keep it gravel instead of paved and curbed.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I didn't hear him either.
Okay.
We'll get him to talk louder.
Go
So.
ahead.
So we want to delineate the parking towards the back, but we want to keep it gravel and not paved. Right now, we are showing the existing parking area as in the front as paved, which is conforming. Now, if we want to delineate the back, that would be a C variance because we want to keep it gravel.
Yeah.
The ordinance states that you need it to be surfaced and curbed, which I don't think you guys are planning on doing that, yeah. So that would be a C variance,
And this
really.
parking in the rear is strictly for like a work truck. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
They'd be employees, but.
Yeah, I think
Design.
it's
It's a waiver?
actually a
Okay.
design
A
waiver.
design
Because
waiver.
the language does say, as approved by the board, as recommended by the engineer and approved by the board. I think it's probably more appropriately a design
design
waiver, although it
waiver,
is a
okay.
departure from the regulation.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything additional? Open to the public. Does anybody in the public wishing to be heard on this application? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. One last time, any additional questions? Mr. Solicitor.
Chairman, I need a motion to approve the minor site plan with a D variance, which the applicant is requesting to create office space in an area that is zoned preservation area, which does not permit office space. I've also requested 2 C variances, one for the side buffer less than 50 feet, and a height variance for the garage and woodshed. We've identified a number of conditions that will be part of the resolution. One, there'll be a letter from the NJD DOT, a lighting plan, a revised plan indicating parking and storage of materials. The applicant will also make a presentation to the environmental committee and will abide by their recommendations. So I need a motion.
Letter from the county.
I'm sorry, I forgot my other list. Yes, they need a letter of no interest from the county and also proof of their LLC status.
And the approval would also include a certificate of nonconformity for multiple principal buildings on the same lot.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. McGarty.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Mr. Scipione,
Second.
Mr. Natro. Any questions? Seeing none, let's have a roll call, please.
James Matro,
Yes.
Ray Scipione.
Yes.
Ralph Capaccio,
Yes.
Michael Messina,
Yes.
Michael Hosick,
Yes.
Philip Barbagallo,
Yes.
Chairman Olivo.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, board.
Appreciate
Thank you, members.
it.
We have one resolution for Serrano Tires. Applicant was approved to construct a 7,200 square foot building to be used as a tire service center in Hammonton Highway Business Zone. Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Doc Hosick, Mr. Messina. Any questions? Roll call, please.
James Matro,
Yes.
Ray Scipione,
Yes.
Ralph Capaccio,
Yes.
Michael Messina,
Yes.
Michael Hosick,
Yes.
Philip Barbagallo,
Yes.
Chairman Olivo.
Yes, motion carried. Open to the public if anybody wants to be heard on any subject whatsoever. Seeing none, our next meeting will be Wednesday, July 2nd. I want to thank everybody for, letting Shelley know whether you're coming or not to this meeting. Please let her know for sure, maybe a little bit ahead of time for the next meeting if you know. I mean, we are coming into July. People may be going on vacation. And then the meeting after that is the 16th, which we will not have a meeting. We already said we're not having that meeting. But there is something already scheduled for July 2nd. So if you think you're not going to be able to make that, let us know. Maybe we'll have a little bit more of an update of what we're going to do with the Pinelands.
I'm trying to get to it.
Okay, and maybe we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I know it's vacation time and whatever it may be. Anything else for the good of the order? Anything? Thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it, and we're adjourned.